All right. Where are we at? Good morning, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome in. We are live. We are live. How is everybody doing? Welcome in, guys. Welcome. Welcome in, everybody. Good. I had a good day yesterday. Finally, a nice day. Finally, a good day. Apple. Apple. A little bit of Apple action yesterday was a nice session for me. 207 was a level. I caught some scalps on it off 207, and I did get a bigger move end of day. But this was it was a good session yesterday. Apple 207 was critical. SPY yesterday as well. The golden zone 583. 583 markets pulled back. Some big levels today. Welcome everybody. How did you guys all do yesterday? Everybody have a good day yesterday? Did you all have a good day yesterday session? Curious what you guys did. Did you guys have a green day, red day? Welcome in everybody. Happy Thursday. We're going to talk about it. We have a lot to go over today. Tesla. We'll talk about Tesla downside. Tesla. Lots of reds. A few reds. Greens. Some greens, some reds. Pretty mixed. Interesting. Break even. Red, great, green didn't trade. 50-50. I'm going to say mostly red though in the chat. What were you guys trading yesterday's session? Nvidia weeklies. Oh, Nvidia. I'm going to say mostly red. I wonder what you guys were. What did you guys trade yesterday's session? What were you guys red on? SPY. Apple. How you read at Apple? SPY puts actually ended up working in a day. We'll talk about that. We'll go over all the levels today. We'll talk about SPY. We'll go over the levels here in SPY's chart. We'll talk about Apple. We'll go over Nvidia. Yes. CRWV. Interesting. All right, guys, let's dive into it. So we have a lot to go over this morning. I want to actually jump into charts today pretty early. The reason why is because on the econ side, it's not big. Today's session, we just have jobless claims, which came out 5 minutes ago. Existing home sales, 10 o'clock, PMI 945. That's pretty much what's on the docket for today, right? So nothing crazy. 9:45 data, 10 o'clock data. Just keep an eye on that. Going into our morning session, and then Friday, of course, your Jerome Powell speaking. So this is what we have on the docket today. Nothing crazy. I want to dive into charts. Earnings reports, obviously, also same deal. Thursday, May 22nd. Today's session, you have BJ's, Advanced Auto Parts, Lightspeed. Yesterday, you had Snowflake and ZM. But nothing too crazy on the earnings side of things today. So what I want to do is I want to dive right into our charts. Night Warrior, thank you very much appreciated. Also Jetson, thank you as always, Jetson, you are awesome as well. Thank you guys both for doing that. Let's move on, guys. Let's go on to our chart. So SPY chart yesterday. What happened yesterday? What was the general theme of yesterday's session? So what was our mindset? Our mindset yesterday was basically we had 589 support, right? On a Wednesday session, we had 592 supply, and we did this yesterday. We broke out, right? We pulled back to our 589, and we actually set up a long here at 589. I didn't go long here on SPY, but this is your long opportunity yesterday. We had a nice break, a pull back to 589, and we knew yesterday's session. You guys should have known. Everybody knows this, right? The pivot of yesterday's session was 589, right? So this 589 level was the critical zone. 589, 589. And we just ripped higher off 589. We pulled back to 589, and we continued all day off 589. We ended up finding support resistance here at 592, 592, 592, and 592, where we ended up forming a high of day there. And then news came out around 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the news that came out was a double pronged news, right? The first one was we had bond yields come out higher than expected. That obviously is pulling liquidity out of the market. So that was the first thing that happened with SPY in the overall market. Bond yields coming out, the bond announcement. You also had a news over in abroad. I don't want to get into it because it's going to ruin my engagement and people will go crazy. But there is some news abroad Again, that's causing some downside in the market, right? And mostly from the bond market, though. That was really what happened that caused the downside to happen yesterday. So going into today's session, right, following a crazy downside reversal trade yesterday into our, Javi, that's correct. Crazy downside move yesterday into 583. 583 was the massive support. And to be honest, we kind of expected this at some point. Remember we said there's going to be a moment where we just flash sell in the 583. When we flash sold in 583, that was your actual opportunity to go long yesterday. This was the only trade I took on SPY yesterday. I took this myself. I did not study this for the chat. This was just something I was talking about in the stock only tab. But if you guys were in the stock only tab at that moment, you guys know it was long SPY at 583. And I took longs here at 583 for an upside trade. And that was my only trade on SPY. And granted, sometimes you do take trades on your own, right? That's just reality of trading. Sometimes it's like high risk, high reward trade. I took 0 days and these ended up ripping into 588 into our Wednesday session. So what's going on now? Well, what's going on now and what's applicable for today's session is the fact that we are under 583. So 583 was a very big level, okay? And 583 was my bull bear pivot, right? Well, first of all, it was 589, right? But then 583 now is the new bull bear pivot, right? And if we can get above 583, we should have upside back at 586. That's the first play today's session is if we do hold above 583. If the market does sell off today, okay? If the market does sell off today, where should your downside target be? Where should you be saying, you know what? We have done enough here downside. I'm happy with it. It's sufficient, right? Where does that downside opportunity sort of come to a close, at least for a temporary close? In my opinion, it's 576. The reason why I expect this to be a solid downside target is because not only is it a 4-hour double, top, triple, quadruple, penta, whatever you want to call it, top and bottom, right? Big level. You can see highs produced here, 576, lows produced here, 576. Breakout level here, 576 here from March 5th to March 6th. This is a very big level here at 576. We had the breakout and we're finally getting the pullback to our 576 level here of demand. Not only is 576 an important level because it's demand, because it's a level in the chart, it's also happens to be the daily 200 SMA, almost at 576. It's really at 575. But by the time today's session prints, we should see it somewhere ballpark around 576, 575.50. So the zone to watch today's session is simply this green band right in front of us. If the market sells off again today, right, look for us to pull back into 576, 575, right? That's the zone you want to see us pull back to for downside targets. This is where I'd expect buyers to step back up again, and I would expect some sort of reversion plays to happen here, right? That's what I would expect today's session. If we lose 576, really 575, because we want to lose not only the demand, but also the daily 200 SMA. If we lose 575, and what we'll do here is we're going to be smart for a second. Let's make this a smart zone. Let's adjust our level here to 575 to 576. And this is our zone here on SPY's chart, okay? This is our new zone here. The daily 200 SMA at the bottom barrier or boundary, right? And the 576 at the top boundary. If we lose 575, okay? In my eyes, that is where things become dangerous. Okay, right now we are not dangerous. This is simply just a breakout, a pullback, a nice little break under 589. Some downside plays happened yesterday, right? Some sexy downside plays happened, but we probably just pulled back to 576, 575. If we lose this level, okay, the major demand on SPY, then we gap fill. We gap fill and we gap fill aggressively. The reason why I say this is because go into the replay mode for a second here and zoom into the chart here on the daily time frame. And you're going to see, hold on a second. There is no price action here between 576 and 570. If we lose 576, we are going to gap fill, or 575. We're going to gap fill and go back into 570, right? So again, remove the replay mode, go to the daily time frame yourself, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about here, right? If we lose this low over here, right? Technically, the gap fill starts at 577, but you want to see us not only lose the 577 gap fill level, you want to see us lose these highs over here and the daily 200 SMA here, and that is where things become dangerous. So the most dangerous thing that can happen today for puts and for shorts is going to be a break A retest under 576, if that happens, downside back into 570 is the most probable scenario today. Okay, that is where things get really, really risky and things become obviously more excited for puts. Okay. If the market holds, if the market just flash sells to 576 today, I'm probably going to look for longs here, right? I know it's a little bit far-fetched, but again, I would look for longs here at 576. If we flash sell into it, 576 long trade. If you lose 576, look for the break, the retest short, downside move. Again, everything today is really about that 576, 575 demand. For rejection trades today, okay, for rejection trades today, what you should be watching to look for today's session is look for this. Look to see if we are under 583. If we are under 583, these highs over here and these highs over here and these highs over there and these are lows over here from Thursday, May 15, then we can look for short side trades for rejections. So what I'd be watching for today at a main watch is going to be, do we fail here at 583? If we do, shorts here at 583. If we sell off the open, longs here at 576. That's it, right? That's really all today's session is about. It's going to be, do we find resistance here at 583, or do we find a bounce opportunity here at 576? So those are the two things I'd watch today's session. If we do this today, and this is, again, I'm going over all the possible scenarios. If we do this today above 583, this is where things become kind of sucky because, in my opinion, I want to see more downside too, right? Personally, it would be nice for more downside because then we can trade it and it's easy. The trend is nice, right? The trend is flipping from to bear side. If we reclaim 583, then we just flip from bear to from bull to bear, and then from bear back to bull, and we like to go back to 586. And we're back in the range again. We're back in that same little shit range, right? Remember the crazy range we've been in for a while, right? If we reclaim 583, we're back in that range again. So what you want to see is you want to see us stay under 583 today, right? That should be the thesis. If we're under 583, we're good for shorts, right? If we're above 583, we could look for upside trades back in 586. If we sell off the open today, maybe look for a 580 breakdown. If you see a little 580 breakdown, then expect this to happen, us to go right back into 576, right? That's what I would expect today's session. Those are all the levels here in SPY's chart. And Jack Frost, thank you, Jack Frost. Much appreciated, as always. Yes, these are all the levels here in SPY's chart. This is everything you have to know about SPY, in my opinion. I don't think I'm missing any big levels here. Again, I have 580 is a little intraday level. If you want to look for trend-based entries in SPY, you could short SPY under 580, right? That's your little pre-market low level. Under 580, you can see it move back down to 576. So again, many scenarios here in SPY's chart. It's tradable, right? As long as we get moves, it's going to be tradable. On the ES chart, the level to watch out for is simply that 5870. Remember we said the golden zone is 5870 on SPY. This is why when we flash sold off to our golden zone, right? The first thing I did was I longed here, right? I went a little long here up to 5870. It was a nice little long opportunity, right? But again, that long opportunity was short-lived, right? Bounced off of it, little dead cat bounce, and we faded it all day. Now today's session, we are under that golden zone. We're under 5870. What you should be watching for today's session is look to see if we are getting a retest rejection here, right? So we see the downside move today, right, which you've already seen pre-market. Let's look for the retest short here at 5870 and the downside play, right? So today's session, watch and look to see if we can get the 5870 rejection. If that happens, that's our top watch for shorts. If we keep selling off today, right, demand steps in back here at 5770. Why 5770, guys? Why 5770? Because again, go to that 4-hour time frame. Where are those highs coming in at? The highs are coming in from that April 2nd high, right? That's where you have that April 2nd high, 5770. That's what the market has to hold. If you can hold there, upside likely, right? That's your demand here on SPY's chart or ES's chart. If we lose 5770, this golden zone right here, the golden zone, I'll make it yellow, right? If we lose the golden level, right, then we go back into 5700, right? If we lose this level here, if we lose this level right here, we're going to gap fill back into 5700 ES. So we have almost a 70-point drop potential today if we lose that 5770. Okay, those are the big levels here in SPY ES chart. Again, I'm going to flip back to SPY for a second to show people who are just joining in. And I'm also going to make this 576 level my golden level. All right, so it's my golden level. It's the most important level I have on my chart today. Okay, can I make it golden? Is there a way to do this? There is a way to do this, right? Why is it not working? TradingView is being a little bit finicky this morning, or maybe it's just me. There you go. Okay, so that's my golden zone, right? On the Qs chart, right? Yesterday's session, we had supply here at that 522. Obviously, supply rejections came in yesterday. That was what resulted in downside, 522, 522, 522, big supply. We pushed above supply. We fell below it after 1 o'clock data. Data resulted in us seeing a pretty aggressive downside move back under 517, back under 513. And 513 was the big level yesterday. Now today's session, what's the big level? This is actually where things become a little bit tricky here, because what's the golden level on Qs? The golden level on Qs is 509, right? So 509 here on QQQ is a very big technical level of demand. If we sell off today, right, into our 509, this is a long opportunity right here at 509. Why? Because it's a double top highs that we have not tested yet. So I am kind of a little changing my bias here a little bit, because look at the Qs level. This QQQ level has not even tested demand yet, right? This Qs chart is not bearish by any means. By any means, this chart's not bearish, right? As long as we're above 509, we're not bearish. So back to SPY for a second. Is that going to change how SPY reacts here? This could be something, right? We have to watch and see how we respond to 583 today, right? Let's not get all cooked up in puts today, right? Because if you look at Qs, QQQ has not broken any critical levels. And this is something like, you will find these things live. And I'm doing this with you guys live right now after a big downside day yesterday. This is not a bear chart yet, right? Let's not misconstrue this for a second, right? Look at this chart here, right? If we are holding this 509 level, we are technically holding a big demand zone, right? So watch to see if we hold 509. If we rip out 509, then be careful shorting, right? Because this could just be the little bull flag continuation play. We could basically buy back all that downside move yesterday if we get strong here in Qs, if we reclaim 514. And again, that would be 583 reclaim on SPY. So let's watch and see how these levels react here in the market. And let's play an important thing to look at is to see how betas are responding as well, right? So we'll look and see what betas are doing. But again, this is interesting because you see SPY's weak, right? SPY's weak, but hey, we're not that weak, right? We had a big downside day yesterday, but we have some big demand below now. So we have to not all be loaded up into all horned up into puts at the open, right? Let's not do that. Look and see what SPY does today. Look to see how we respond to 583. This is a very important level. And look to see what we do with that QQQ 509 level, or QQ 509, 514 as well as that resistance zone. If we can reclaim 514, upside back into 517, right? Those are the big levels here in Q SPY ES's chart. Again, big downside day yesterday. Let's see what happens today going into our Thursday and Friday session. Let's be unbiased today. I think that's the right word to say this morning is let's have no bias. Let's just come in today's session and see how we respond to these levels. Particularly, how do we respond to 583? That's the most important thing. Okay. Fancy. Thank you very much, Fancy. That is very nice of you. Welcome in, Fancy. I knew you were here somewhere. All right. So let's move on. Apple. What did we say yesterday about Apple? Right. So why I was confused yesterday was look at Apple, right? Apple yesterday's session did what? We spoke pre-market about two things. Really, the main thing was 207 failures, right? We said we use this as our case example why Apple should be the weakest name in the market, right? Remember, we did this, right? This is important that I will tell you guys when I'm right and I will tell you guys when I'm wrong too. We were right about Apple, right? We said Apple is the weakest name in the market, right? Why? We even went over an example of ratio trading, right? Ratio trading, the idea of this being a relatively weaker name. Apple was weak yesterday because it was a ratio trading name. It was relatively weak against the market. 207 was the failure point yesterday. While the rest of the market was pushing highs, SPY was pushing highs, and other names are pushing highs, Apple was simply just pulling back into our previous day breakdown level at 207 and producing failures there. So when I went short on Apple, I shorted the uptrend break. So we had a little bit of an uptrend break here into this morning session around 10:18. I got puts around 10:18, 10:19, or 10:16. Got a little bit of a downside play back in the 205.50. Got stopped down in runners. And then all day, I just kept looking for reversion trades off this 207. 207 was the key zone. So every time you saw us rejecting off 207, you could have taken a very clean risk reward short off 207. And then all of a sudden at 1 p.m., you got lucky because the market flushed down lower. And that was me, right? That was my session yesterday. It was just, okay, relatively weak name, off supply, right? Then you just simply got lucky if you were holding puts when that bond auction came out, right? And that was my day yesterday, right? I was up close to 3K on Apple, and then when this downside flush came in, I was up almost close to 6K, right? And this was just luck though, right? This was just luck in this zone over here. But that's okay because again, the chart was still a very good risk reward short off 207. Now today's session, what are we doing on Apple today? Well, Apple will just depend on what SPY does, right? So SPY, this chart doesn't really matter anymore. The reason why this chart doesn't matter anymore is because I don't care about it, right? I don't care about it anymore. Why? Because it already gap filled. This chart had a gap fill between this 207 and this 200 level, right? You can see 207 and 200 level, and we have completed that entire gap fill downside move. Therefore, this chart now, in my opinion, is setting up for the next trend. We don't know what it's going to be. It may still go in downtrend, right? It may still find resistance here at 205, and we can look for shorts here at 205. Or we may see it begin to get strong here because it's been a relatively weak name for a long time, and it may build back higher. I have no bias here in Apple anymore. I was all short bias yesterday, not today's session. I have no bias. I want to see, one, how we respond to 205. If we can go to 205 today, maybe we can look for retest rejection shorts here. That's the only thing I have here in Apple. That's the only thing I see here. But again, this chart has met its move. When charts meet their move, stop trading it, right? Let it go, right? Let it be for a little bit. Let it marinate. Let it give you the idea what it's going to do next, then execute the trade. Right now, Apple, we have no goddamn clue. We're going to leave it alone for now until we maybe see it reject off 205. We can look for shorts there. But besides that, probably leave it alone for now, okay? Because again, this was a relatively weak name for a long time. What's going to happen, this is important, is relatively weak names are going to be relatively weak for a certain amount of time. Then at a moment, we don't know when, but eventually it's going to shift to being a strong name, right? When it shifts to a strong name, you don't want to be short that name anymore. So right now, let Apple marinate. It's met the downside move. Stay away for a little bit, okay? Now, granted, I'm saying that. Will I be trading it at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time? Maybe. But for now, stay away, I think, right? 205 is the only level I have here, okay? Amazon's chart. Amazon, this is also the same idea here. Amazon sitting at that daily 200 SMA, okay? Amazon 200 is very big. Let's stay away from this until we know what it's going to do. What is going to tell us what's going to happen here? If we break under 200 and that daily 200 SMA, we can target the gap fill, move down lower into 194. That's the first trade I'd watch here in Amazon. Downside under 200. Very simple trade here. Likewise, if this flips strong, right, we can look for longs above 203.50 and the upside trade. I am willing to keep this on my top watch today here in Amazon. Above this high for long side trades and below this low for downside trades. Under 200 for puts, back into that gap fill because we have a gap fill between 200 and 194. And likewise, a long side trade here after holding demand, because right now it's sitting in demand, above 203.50 for upside back into 207. So here on Amazon's chart, we have a potential trade here. But we just need to see what's going to happen. Again, I have no bias right now. My zone here, my dead zone is here. This is my dead zone. I'm not going to trade in the dead zone. I'm going to wait for it either to break the demand lows, right? Demand lows, or wait for it to break above these supply highs here at 203.50. Guys, I forgot to ask, but we have 301 likes. Let's get the like count up if you guys can. It helps the algorithm. It is always very helpful. Black Trump, thank you, Black Trump. Black Trump, you're awesome, man. Hopefully you had a nice day yesterday, Black Trump. All right, so Nvidia. Why must we today's session? This should prove to you, right? And sometimes I start the pre-markets with one bias. And then as we're going through names, I begin collecting more data myself. And I realize, oh shit, maybe I'm wrong about being all horned up bear, right? Maybe I'm wrong about saying, let's go jump into puts at 9:34 a.m., right? Because look at what Nvidia is doing, guys. What about Nvidia is bearish? Nothing is bearish yet, right? Now, if it loses 130, okay, then we're bearish. But nothing about Nvidia is particularly bearish right now. Nothing about Nvidia is particularly bearish. Why? Because again, it's still above 130. It's still holding support. And then if you go across the market today, look at Amazon. Wait, what's bearish with Amazon right now? Nothing yet, right? Nothing. Amazon's simply just consolidating at that daily 200 SMA. What's bearish about Apple? Hey, Apple was bearish yesterday, but it's already met that gap fill move. Maybe it could be bought back up again. There are names that are sitting here in demand today while SPY is under major resistance here. there is a potential. We see if we see a quick reversal over 583 today, we could just be back in an upside channel today. So let's be careful today, and let's be very aware of these these other names, particularly these other beta names. Nvidia is one of them, of course, right? 130. If Nvidia holds 130 today, we're not going lower on SPY, right? If Nvidia holds 130, we're not going lower. We're just going to rip higher today, right? Back in the highs. What can we do today, though? If you want shorts on Nvidia, this is your short, and this is probably your only short opportunity, right? Under 130, under these lows over here, we can target a very nice short under 130. But for now, we can't do this yet, right? We must stay away from the short side until we break the main lows here, 130, okay? AMD 110, right? I mean, this is where things become tricky here. I don't really think this is a clean chart, right? Sometimes I have good reads, sometimes I don't have good reads. Right now in AMD, I will tell you guys something because I don't want to sit here and BS you guys. I don't have a good read right now, right? I have a level here at 112, and I have a level here at 110. A little bit of a bull flag play here, but this is setting up for a big move. I just don't know where it is going to be yet, right? So for me right now, I think we stay away from AMD for a little bit because it's possible it may need back to 110 to find support. And if that happens, we could rip off 110. It's possible we may lose 110 and we see the move back down to 106. I think we should stay away from this chart right now. It's a bit of an ugly chart, a little upside break. It pushed into our supply yesterday, 116. It almost tried for the bull flag breakout yesterday. It almost did it. It was so close to the 116 breakout. It almost did the bull flag yesterday. We failed the bull flag. We failed under 112, and now we're finding support here at 110 and change. And we're setting up for a move right now. I just don't know what it's going to be, so I'm going to push this off to the side because I just don't know where it's going to be yet. Okay, SMH. On the SMH chart, this is where I can tell you we have a very clear read here. Yesterday's session, we said this chart is still a bull flag. Fundamentally, what has changed from yesterday to today? Has SMH or the chip sector done anything that tells you that it's different from what it was yesterday? No, it hasn't, right? The chart's still bullish. The chart's still in a bull flag. The chart's still holding above our 238 level. As long as the SMH is holding 238, we are bullish here. Why is it bullish? Because it is a daily 200 SMA and it is 238 on SMH, right? You can see here a series of lows produced here at 238. You can see many lows here at 238, right? Just so you guys can understand what I'm talking about. I'm not just talking out of my ass here, right? You can see 238, 238, 238, 238, and of course that daily 200 SMA here at 238. And what are we doing right now? We are simply just bull flagging here above 238. So I would be careful shorting chips right now. Chips are still strong, and that may play a role into how, of course, SPY moves today's session. Okay, and yeah, someone just said burn SPY, just reclaim 583. I'm not surprised, right? I'm not surprised. And in a complete 180, we may flip from a bear open to a bull open, right? Because again, it's going to matter what these overall betas do. Do they continue holding demand? Right now, they're holding demand. Okay, let's move on. Avgo, right? Avgo 220, right? 220 still holding. We pull back to that 227 level. Avgo is still bullish as well, of course, right? It's bullish with the overall chip sector. SMCI, a little SMCI love. We haven't given SMCI any love in a long time. SMCI, not really a nice chart, not really clean. We lost that 44 level. We have to reclaim 44 for upside, right? For upside to happen, a 44 reclaim must happen. That's where we can look for upside continuation trades. Okay, let's go over other charts today. Let's talk about Tesla. Let's do Tesla. We'll do Meta. We'll do Lyft. We'll do other names as well. So let's do Tesla first. So yesterday's session, I decided that I traded Tesla way too many times. I traded Tesla. You guys know, I'm not going to repeat myself. I've been doing it over and over again. I traded Tesla a lot, right? Now, yesterday's session, I probably could have traded Tesla again, to be completely honest with you. I really could have. I was talking about 243 level again on Tesla on Wednesday's session. I was talking about puts under 243 for the downside move. You can see that we ended up doing that into close. We held demand all open. And then around 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we saw that downside come in under 243. Sorry, under 343. Under 343, we moved back into 332, and we met that extension move down lower. Now, today's session, what can we do here on Tesla, right? What can we do here in Tesla? If you look at Tesla's chart right now, and you ask yourself, what can we do here in Tesla? Not a goddamn thing. right? Not a goddamn thing. There's nothing we can do here in Tesla right now. Why? Because at this point, the only way I would trade Tesla is going to be if we see some sort of beautiful reclaim here over 332. If we reclaim 332, and this would have to be a very big 5-minute candle off the open, right? And it would have to be something that really convinces me to go long. That's your long opportunity, right? Back into 343, I can scalp it for upside trades. Okay, that's the only thing I see here on Tesla. If it fails back lower today, expect this. If it fails back under 332, expect this to go lower back into 313. But again, the reason why I'm saying we can't really do much here in Tesla is because this chart isn't really so clean right now, right? We just have a middle of the road level here, which in this case is what? Is simply 332, 332, 333, 332, 333, right? If we can break above this level, upside trade back in 343. If we fail below this level, downside trade back into these lows over here. So what must happen here on Tesla is we must get more data. Do we see us do this today, right? Do we see us sort of retest rejection here, right? That's your downside trade. We can look for shorts here at 332. If we see us break and hold above 332, 333, right? Then upside reversion trades back into highs here into that 342, 343 level. So again, everything that's going to happen with Tesla today is defined by whether or not we are above or below the level that we are testing right now on the 5-minute time frame. As of right now, we look like we are rejecting right now, right? Just my sort of overall sentiment looks like this is a bear side chart, right? Why? Because we've seen the downside move right back into 332. We're looking for shorts here at 332. We could look for retest rejection, downside move, right? So right now, this is sided more towards shorts, but we have to see what happens here at the open, okay? Meta's chart. On the meta chart, I mean, you have a level here forming around these lows here, right? 620, 627. You can see 627 is a level here formed. I would say everything that happens today on Meta is going to be defined by these lows. And what I'll do is I'll draw a zone here just to get the proper level marked out. You can see between 620, 628 and 626, we have demand formed, right? I would be careful shorting back into this demand. This chart is actually still strong, right? Remember I said something. I said, when you're trading when you're trading beta names, right, you want to be looking to see what's relatively strong, what's relatively weak. Right now, Meta's relatively strong. Why? Because this name is green from yesterday's close. This is the name to be watching for longside trades. Watch to see if we can get above 643. If we can get above 643, we can look for alongside trades back into 660. Okay, so longside only on Meta as long as we're above 627. Okay, Snowflake earnings, right? So obviously a little bit of a firework here at Snowflake. This is just a firework. Does this firework have any meaning to us though? On the 1 hour time frame, you can see here we have some resistance here at 195. That's what we're trading at right now. And of course, we have demand lows here at 185. What I would watch out for today's session is I'd watch to see, can we get a pullback long setup here? If we can pull back to 184, 185, I would say this is the top watch for long side, right? If we can pull back there, I bet you this is also the fib level. Yeah, I mean, that's it right there. This is staring at us right in the face. 185 is your level here on Snowflake. If we can pull back there, that's your top watch for long side trades, right? Pull back to 185, top watch for longs, okay? Right, let's move on. IWM, I'm gonna breeze through a few names quickly. I'm gonna go like crackhead speed here. IWM, 206 rejections, 200 support. That's it, right? Support here, 200, rejections here, 206. That's all we have here in IWM, okay? QCOM. On the QCOM chart, 155 supply. Disney chart, watch this 110 level. If we can hold 110, that's your hold spot. 110 demand, 105 demand. Last ticker of the start of the day, Microsoft. MSFT, Microsoft, 5-minute chart. You can see here, it's doing a whole lot of nothing, right? We saw some break and retest happen here above 456. We saw us fail 456. I would say the level we have to get above is 456. If you can get above 456, that's where upside comes in. So watch to see if we can get above 456 for longs. Guys, thank you all for joining in. I will see you guys all for live trading. Happy and safe trading today. Bye, guys.